friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I have a technique to show you called the Retiform, R-E-T-I-F-O-R-M, collage technique. So it's a collage of images, and the way that they're sectioned off and shaded is, I guess, called Retiform. So we're going to be using this great masculine stamp set. I don't know, some girls like the bikes and the four-wheelers as well, and the trucks. So the Pedal to the Metal stamp set, and we're going to be using these images, and I thought it would be cool on a card that we could show all of them on one card. So this is super, super simple. I went with a palette of black and the grays. I used Smoky Slate and Basic Gray for my inks, and then my papers, I used the Basic Gray, Whisper White, and Basic Black. So we're going to just put this aside and get started. Now, with sponging, we're always going to get a little messy. So I do have out a little piece of scratch paper we're going to be using. We'll put this, I have all the measurements and the colors and the products I use on the YouTube, underneath the YouTube description. You'll see a link to all of the products I use. You can also see a link where it says visit my blog here. It'll take you to my blog. I'll have additional tips and additional photos of this card and different steps if the card, needs them. So what we're going to be doing is using a card base of Basic Black, and this is a half sheet of our cardstock, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and it's going to be a landscape card. And then we're going to be putting a basic gray border on front of that, and that border is going to be 5 1/4 by 4, and then we're going to go down 1 more 1/4 of an inch so that we have 1/8 of an inch all around, and that means it's going to be 5 by 3 3/4. And then the inside, we just go back to it looks like I cut them the same so that there wasn't any mix up there when I was doing it. So we're going to go ahead and put a smaller border inside here. Normally I would use 4 by 5 1/4, but sometimes when I'm making a card, it's just easier to have the same, and then I'm not going to end up stamping on the wrong one, and a lot of times that can happen, especially if I'm doing a class. So we're just going to have a bigger border around the front, and we're going to be starting out using one of these 3 3/4 by 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to need some Post-it notes. Now, when I'm doing a Retiform technique or something that has a longer one, if you have your regular 3 by 3 Post-it notes, that's fine. I just found that these ones I got on Amazon that have like a longer sticky part on them, and they stretch across the sheet to be good. And I think these ones are somewhere around, I guess they're 6 inches by 4 inches, so by 6 by 4. So what you're going to do is kind of look at your images. On this one, I wanted to get the pickup truck and the motorcycle and the four-wheeler in there. So I'm going to start with the top part, giving myself a pretty decent amount of space here. And I just put my Post-it note here, and then I'm going to use my Smoky Slate, and I'm going to open that up. And then I'm going to be using, we have stamping sponges that fit on your finger. I can get a little heavy-handed with it, so I've been using a makeup brush. It's this oval, really soft, and it just seems like I have a little more control over my sponging because that's not my best talent. So anyhow, so I'm going to get a little bit on here. I'm not going to go straight on it. You're going to go a little bit off your paper so that by the time you get onto the paper, you're not having a distinct mark there. So that I'll go off a little bit, and you really want to make sure that you get some delineation of your line right along where the sticky note is. So you want to make sure you have a good line there. And I'm just kind of messing, excuse me, I'm just kind of messing up my paper a little bit so that it looks a little bit smudged. If you were trying to smudge it, it would be hard to do. So it is a little harder to make something, and I'm sorry if I'm shaking here with the table, but you make yourself a nice area that's sponged, catch the edges, and right along that line. Then while I still have this in place, I'm going to stamp the image. Now I'm going with a darker gray here, and this is my Basic Gray. You can either open it this way, or you can just hold it really tight along the notch side and press on that edge, and then it brings it up a little bit for you. And we are going to do the pickup truck. And so I'm just going to get it inked up here. Looks like I got good coverage there and I don't have any edges. And then I'm just going to put my truck right up in that upper area there. There we go. I'm also going to use the little like tire treads, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of these tire treads, making sure I'm using the basic gray. Yes, the basic gray. And I'm going to put some of those right along those edges as well. Actually, I might get a little more. There we go. So we've got some of those edges around there. And then we're going to remove our mask here. And you can see how we've already started to get our Retiform pattern there. So if we kind of look at this card, let's just do this upper corner here. So I just made another corner here, and I'm just putting down. But you'll notice now you don't want to get any stamping or sponging to change that line of demarcation there. So that's whenever you bring in another piece of your sticky Post-it note, and you just cover up that line as nearly as perfect as you can do. Make sure you're using your smoky slate. Get a little ink on there. Once again, do it a little bit off, and then bring it on to your paper. You could also use your sponge brayers. Now, I know with my sponge brayers, I'm pretty delicate with them, but it is a little easy sometimes to get heavy-handed with those. And when I'm running you want to make sure when you're using your sponge brayer, you're doing a nice light touch, because you don't want to gouge into, like the older sponge brayers had like a heavy, a heavy roller on it, and it didn't touch into your ink pad. But with these ink pads, and because they're not felt, if you use your sponge roller in there, you could gouge your ink pad. So, but that is a great way to do that too. But like I said, these are really inexpensive. You can find them anywhere, Amazon, Walmart, any place, but they're just a really soft contour, and you just really have more control with it. So here we are with our next section here, and we're going to I'm going to use that 4-wheeler there. So I'm just going to grab the 4-wheeler, grab my basic gray, ink that up, see that I don't have any edges on there, and then I'm just going to stamp that 4-wheeler on there. Okay, and while I have it still covered, I'm going to come back and do my tire treads. Now I say that because if you forget to do that, let me see, that ancillary thing, you're just going to have to put them back when you put the tire treads. So try to remember it all at one time. Okay, so now we're going to pull this off. And even though we have a little line here, you can see that we cover up that little line with a strip of cardstock. So don't worry about that. But if you are not using the cardstock to cover that up, try to do it as close as you can. So now we want to make sure we get something neat in the middle there. So I'm going to pull this over, like say, I think I'll maybe make it like that. So every time is a new adventure there. So you have to cover up your other lines. So let's cover up that line there. And then let's take a third one now and put a line here. And like I said, you can always save these papers from project to project. So now we're going to go and make sure we're using our smoky slate again. We're going to get some ink on our makeup brush, bring it a little bit off, and then bring it onto our paper. Just getting some oil smudges on there. My uncle had a garage, and I used to love to go into that garage and smell that that oil and just see all the dirt everywhere. He always kept it neat, but it still was really cool to just smell everything in that garage. That was my Uncle Sam. So there we go. We are now going to do our next image in here, and of course I haven't used the motorcycle or the dirt bike. So we're going to take our basic gray, ink it up, make sure we haven't caught any edges, and then we're going to kind of put it so we can see a little bit of that wheel in the front. Lift it up, go grab our tire tracks. We can get a good image of those tire tracks in here because we have some room. There we go. And then what's the next step? Take this off again. And like I said, I'm not worrying about so much about that little white part that's showing through because I'm going to be covering it up anyhow. But make sure if you are. Now, and even here it's not perfect here, but that's okay because it's going to get covered up. Now we have to do this line here. And you'll notice there's a tiny tad there and a tiny bit there, but you have to cover that because that really makes that difference. Even just that little tiny place there. Just think, you can do this with multiple colors, different colors, and smoky slate. You can do it with flowers. You can do it with a stamp set that, okay, now we are actually going to bring in another sticky note because I want to get 2 more images here and I almost messed that up. So let me grab one more sticky note here. There we go. I did have it close to me. And I think I'm going to cut it right about there. Okay? So, smoky slate. If you have a stamp set that has a lot of images with a particular theme, like sailing or art images, like pencils, paintbrushes, stuff like that, it would be cool to make a collage of those different images. Or you could go kind of crazy and just make a collage of all kinds of different stamp sets together. And if you make one, you make sure you send me a picture of it. All right, so now, oh, I took that off. So we're gonna put the 4-wheeler down here again. So we'll take our smoky slate and put that 4-wheeler there. And then some tire tracks up here, down here. And then we're going to, you can see since, you know, some images when you make this, you might be doing a lot of Post-it notes. So it's really nice that you can reuse these. So there we go. And we have one more. Oh, we'll just leave that one in place. And then cover up this line. Cover up this small line. I should have left that there. Okay, and we have this one last section, and we want to go smoky slate, our lighter gray. Oop, got a little heavy-handed there. Like I said, I guess I should sponge more often. I do like the look of sponging, but sometimes if it's not done well, it just kind of makes me all not happy about it. So off and then bring a little. Some people are so talented, like Michelle Zindorf with her sponging and everything. My friend Stacy just loves to create those things, and I mean it's a talent. It really is. I so enjoy seeing those types of things. But you know, we all have our own style. Some people like clean and simple. Some love to do the sponging. Some, and I'm just putting our pickup truck on here again. Some people love bling and glitter. So, you know, add your own little touch there. Whatever you personally like is great. Sometimes I'll see other stampers and card makers and I think, oh, I should be layering and lace and distressing, and then I realize that might not be the thing that I am the best at. So I just kind of go off every once in a while and try a new technique or a different style. But that's what it's all about. So there we go. You can see all of our different images. Kind of looks a little crazy right now, but I'm going to flip this over here. See, well, now we can come back to here. So what we're going to do now is cover up all of our different lines. Now, if I had done this really perfectly, I wouldn't have had to worry about covering any of the lines. But like I said before, I didn't mind that. I cut these down to 1/8 of an inch. So this is 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to start with the one I kind of think is one of the longer ones, and that's here. So you can take I find it easier to put the line right. Oh, let's get that silicone craft mat out here so I don't mess up my pretty flowered grid paper. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a glue line right, oh, it's cooperating with me, right along that line. So I just put a real thin line there, and then I'm just going to put my 1/8 of an inch and have it overlap. But see, already you can tell it just covered up any imperfection. So cool. So then you can look at the next one, and I see one from here to here. Now what I do when I get to these edges, you can, you know, put it straight up against it, which I find a good way to do that. So sometimes I will just put it there where I want it to go, and then I'll draw a line right along there, and then I know I can cut right there, and then it's going to fit right along. It's going to butt up like kind of, is that the word miter? I'm not sure. And then since we know this is going to be going up against there, and it's going to go probably, we're going to have one that's going to go from here to here. I think we can get away with, let's see, where is that line? Let's just put it the whole way off. No, because, well, let's do this line, because it looks like this line actually is the line. So you're going to put it here, here, and so draw your little pencil line right along that edge. And then I'm going to just cut there. Yeah, I almost, you look and see where your longest line is, because then that makes it easier to do. Okay, and then we'll just butt that up against. And then it's nice when it goes right off the edge of the paper, because you can trim it off later. So I'm actually going to just snip these off a little bit right now. Okay, so the next one I'm going to work at is this one to this one. So once again, I'm just going to put it in line where I want it to be. And then I'm just going to draw a line. You know, you could do this like with a thick Sharpie marker and not even use cardstock. And then that's a line there. So we're going to come back. I can see my pencil line is there, straight. And I have a pencil line over here, straight. And then I'm going to pop that into the middle of these two. Thank you, Tombo, for cooperating today. We're going to pop that in. Whoop. Let me see here. We're going to pop that into that line. And there. We've got our next line. Now we have this line and we're done. Okay. So get one more strip here. And it looks like you can almost cut them right. If you don't want to use a pencil, you can see it just popped right in there. So we're going to go down there. The last line, and we're going to pop our cardstock right along that line. There we go. Actually, I want this to I can see I want it to be a little, I want this to be a little bit. There we go. All right, so now you're just going to pick up your collage. I like to turn it around because then I can see where to snip off those little borders. Okay, we'll get some of this mess out of here and close up that Tombow. And we are going to now mount this onto basic gray. Mounting it onto the basic gray, then these borders just kind of melt into the border. So we're going to put our snail on the back of that. And of course, had I thought ahead of time, well, you know what? Actually, I can. I'm just going to grab something I have over here, like a big punch. Let's just try, I hate to waste a big piece of paper like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop out a circle. Why? Just so I get a circle out of that. And then we're just going to cover up that hole. And you know I'll end up using that gray circle somehow, somewhere. And you just get a nice equal 1/8 inch border around it. And then we're going to mount it onto the front of our basic black cardstock base. See? You can't see through that. I could have probably got some more things out of that. Hey, it's just a way to use our hard-earned funds whenever we buy stuff. So there we go. We've got a cute thing. And you know, with a guy card, it's just so hard to embellish. You can't put pearls or rhinestones or ribbons. But so I went ahead and just kind of in the inside mess this up a little bit too. So we're going to do smoky slate. And I just kind of wanted to have a little smudging on the inside, kind of just like greasy paws. Kind of like inky paws, huh? So we'll just get it a little bit messed up. Okay, and my sentiment on the outside says to a great guy. So I wanted to do the inside with hope your day is a great adventure. So we're going to use our darker gray, the basic gray, to do that sentiment on the inside. I'm just going to pop that down in the corner. There you go. Hope your day is full of adventure, whatever that card is that you're sending to somebody. And then you can just pop that on the inside. And remember, I did cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5 so that I had more of a black border and it kind of matched with the white on the front. But normally I'll put a 4 by 5 1/4 inch on the inside there. So there we go. Okay, so on the outside I wanted to do the sentiment. And so I played around, and on this card I did use the stitched rectangles and I cut it down a little bit. I cut it first long and then I pulled the die, and then when I pulled the die I cut it again, but I kind of didn't want to have to fuss with that this time. So I'm just going to put this away. I'm just going to take a piece of Whisper White, and then I used basic black to, which you really can't tell, but, oh wait, I'm not going to use basic black because look what I did on the inside. On the inside, I used gray, so we are going to do, well, yeah, we're going to use basic black. So we're going to do to a great guy. And we're just going to stamp that onto our white, okay? Then we're just going to do something radical here. And we are just going to willy-nilly cut this out. We're not going to try to do it perfectly, because if you try to do it perfectly, it won't turn out. So I'm just going to willy-nilly cut my sentiment. Okay? I'm just going to, I kind of wanted to have straight along the wording, but I'm just kind of being a little crazy and just cutting a different type of a pattern on that, okay? Because you kind of have that different type of pattern on the card. So then after you put this, after you've cut that kind of, you know, just a strange way, you're going to, oop, don't want to have it too close there. I'm just going to cut right around it with the black, okay? So let me turn this other side here. Put it on your black, and then, where I got some glue on here, little, okay. So then, let's just go right along the line that we cut before. So you can just go straight, 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 straight. And it's really easy because you're only doing straight cuts. Okay, and I think I just want to get this a little straighter here. Now I'll just cut this a little straighter here. And so you just kind of have a sentiment that just is kind of all willy-nilly there. And it just kind of goes with, I think, the theme of the card. And then we're just going to put dimensionals under it and pop it up. And that is as easy as it gets on this masculine card. Just kind of simple, messy. And you could put this anywhere. You could put it down here. You could put it this way. You know, part of me is just saying I want to see it straight. So I'm thinking I'm going to... I want the sentiment to be straight. So now I'm saying nothing has to be perfect, but now I'm wanting to play around with my label. See, I tried to be just all carefree. So let's see, let's just put it there, but let's let the words be straight, but the tag can be kind of crazy. There you go. To a great guy. Hope your day is full of adventure. Real simple. Retiform technique. Look it up on Pinterest. R-E-T-I-F-O-R-M. It really looks cool with stamp sets that have a lot of images. Oh, now look here. I was looking at this and seeing how bright this looked here. I almost forgot. So let's just do a little bit of surgery here. It's nice that we have black as our card base. And this is the way you fix all your little mistakes. You just find that smoky slate. And I forgot to mess up the label a little bit. It was too stark white. I mean, you could use it stark white, but there we go. We needed it just to be like that. Oh gosh, what a mess. Okay, so what was supposed to take a small amount of time always takes too much time. So there we go. We're using the Petal to the Metal stamp set for a masculine card using a collage technique called Retiform. If you have any questions, you can go to my blog, cindyleebdesigns.com. You can see a post here. If you look in the search bar, it'll be Petal to the Metal or Retiform Collage technique. So super easy to do. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com, or you can call or text at 724-323-2296. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.